Hey, YouTube, it's Jaden. Excuse the terrible lighting. I currently have my phone's flashlight shining on me because if I don't, this is what it looks like. So, um, you're gonna have to deal with it. But I have a very really. What was that about? Why does that light just do that? Either way, I have a pretty embarrassing story to why? Why is it doing that? Nobody's asking it to do that. I have a very embarrassing story to talk about because it just happened not too long ago, about an hour ago. I don't know what is going on with this light, but it's pissing me off. I really don't know what's happening. Um, it's really annoying. Hold on, I'm sorry. Okay, that makes me feel better. Yeah, it makes me feel better. Okay. Well, I guess I could turn my flashlight off. Okay. So I just came from work not too long ago. Um, it's 9. Shift ends at 7:30. Bus takes me back. Bus comes mad late. The bus came to pick me up late and it dropped me off late. That pisses me off. I hate public transportation. Like, I love it, but I hate it at the same time. Either way, so I'm back from work, but I've been embarrassed ever since. Ever since I've been coming back from work because, when I was at work, right? Something happened to where I let me set the setting. So I was at the register, right, and waiting for customers to come in so I can place their order, so that it can show up on the ticket, so that we can make their food, right. So this couple comes in, right, old white couple, and the woman counterpart, the woman, the wife. Let me just say the wife. The wife comes to order for the husband. At least I thought so. The wife was going to order for the husband, and she ordered a cheesesteak, right? Very very simple. And she ordered under the name Jim, which I assumed was the husband, right? So she orders and puts it under Jim, and I go on about my day. I make the sandwiches that were already tickets from the past, so we can catch up and get a move on, right? Because at this point of the day, it's like 6:30, right? We have no, it was like 5, maybe like 6. It was probably like 6. Yeah. So, like when it's 6, we kind of get situated to like get ready to start packing up, because I was about to say school ends, work ends, or we shut down at 7, right? So, I'm making the sandwiches that I need to make in the past, and I'm caught up, right? Now Jim and his wife, they left already, right? But we didn't know. Well, we thought Jim and his wife left, right? But we made their sandwich already, right? And where I work, Glen Mills, is a very middle class, very like upper middle class town, full of white people, right? So Jim is a very common name, and you would think so for white people, right? So we eventually made the sandwich for Jim, right, and his wife counterpart, but we didn't know where he was. We didn't know where Jim and his wife were, because they were very quiet, and to begin with, they were very quiet. Jim didn't speak at all when he was at the register. It was his wife was speaking for him, right? I think I said that. And you know when they left, they sat on like the like where so how Capriati's is situated is like half the restaurant because it's a really small store restaurant. It's like store slash restaurant, very very small. Like I would say like a third of the restaurant is where we cook, where we cook all the food, and we have like a huge like wall to where like if you're sitting next to the wall we can't see you at all because you're behind it, right? Or like you're next to it, you know? And then like the other 2/3 are where people can sit, whatever, but it's still a very small like store slash restaurant, right? Like not too many people can really sit down. Maybe about like 4 or 5 families can sit, so it's not like that big of a store to really eat. Like a lot of people don't really eat here, so either way, Jim and his wife, they were sitting where we really couldn't see them, right? And we all didn't know us. Like like all of us that were working, we didn't know where they were sitting. We all thought that they left. So we finished making the cheesesteak, and we pack it up, ready to give it to Jim, but we don't see him. So we thought that like we gave it to Jim already. Like maybe that the ticket that says Jim was like someone in the past that we already gave the sandwich to. So we could probably throw the cheesesteak away. But I'm like, or that's what the lady I was working with said. But I was like, no. Jim just came in. It was Jim and his elderly wife, right? I keep saying it was Jim and his elderly wife because I can't explain who Jim looks like because again, Jim wasn't really talking. So they can't even they don't know who Jim looks like, but they would know who the wife looks like because number one, there weren't any women in Capriati's at the time. It was only her. There was like a bunch of men, but there was only her. So like that's why I was like I kept saying no, Jim and his elderly wife were it was Jim and his elderly wife. Like they came in together. It wasn't just Jim. Like I kept saying it was him and his elderly wife. And I was saying it loud because there was a bunch of men like in the store at the time. Right? And men just be loud talking to each other, especially about sports. Like it's a hoagie shop, so like men just be talking about sports really loudly, especially white men. It's really annoying. So I keep telling I'm not gonna say her name, but the coworker that I work with, like it's Jim and his elderly wife. Like they came in together, like, and it's like they I keep saying, what did I say? I said I was like, oh yeah, I was like, Jim and his elderly wife came together. We have to give them the meal. Oh yeah, because they were trying to eat in. They were like one of the few people that actually try to eat like in. Usually everybody else gets it to go, like I said, but they wanted to actually eat in. So little did I know, like I said, they were sitting behind the wall. So I guess the wife heard me say Jim enough times that she stood up. And when she stood up, all of us that were working, we all looked at his elderly wife. And I kept saying his elderly wife because I didn't know her name. She didn't say her name. And she got the order in Jim's name. Like, I wasn't trying to be ignorant to the wife's name. Like, I literally didn't know her name because she didn't say her name. And she got the order in her husband's name. So it was like, it wasn't me intentionally trying to be like ignorant. It was just like, you know what I mean? So like the wife, she stands up and she raises her hand and she's like, oh, we're over here. And when she says that, again, like we all look to her and like I'm looking at her and I'm like, my mouth, I'm like, I'm just like, because in my mind I'm like, did they hear everything I was just saying? Especially the wife. Like, did she hear me call her old like 6-7 times? You know what I mean? Like, I'm so glad I didn't call her like old, like literally old, like I said, elderly. Like I was trying to be respectful, at least to some degree. Well, it wasn't even trying. Like I was being respectful to a degree. I was being respectful. It's just that I didn't know her name. I feel like she should have got the food in her name if she wanted me to call her by her name, you know. But she raised her hand, she waved her hand, and my mouth was agape for it felt like forever. Like I was just like for a minute, and then I needed like an excuse to go into the back room because I was like, no way that she just heard me say all of this, and she didn't. She didn't like stop me. You know what I mean? But then I also realized when she was originally at the register, I was saying like I was saying a couple jokes to her, just to try to be a decent, person, and she kept saying like, huh, you know what I mean? So I was like, in the back of my mind, I was like, maybe she didn't hear all of that, but so I was like, in one side of my mind, I was like, okay, maybe I'm still kind of like cool, but on the other side of my mind, I was like, I can't believe I can't believe she heard all that, And so, like I said, they wanted the food there. So when they want the food there, it's not like they just go grab it. Like we have to give it to them. Like we have to walk out and give them the food. Like it's not fast food, So everybody wanted me to give them the cheesesteak. So I had to be the one giving them the food, so it was I was very nervous to give them the food, so I was like, I had the tray in my hand, but I was walking like kind of slow, and I'm like, when I hand them the food, I'm like, for Jim, and I have like this really like cheesy smile on my face, like I'm like, like I'm just like really hoping that like no words are gonna be said between any of us, and I just hope like they go about their day. And I noticed that his wife just looks at me, and she's looking at me, and she's like she's mugging me, and she's turning her neck as I'm like walking back. I noticed out of my peripheral that like she's mugging me, and like she's doing this with her mouth, like mugging me. I'm like, okay, wow, like she really did hear that. Like she heard all that, And I was really embarrassed because, again, it wasn't like I was doing that on purpose. Like I really wasn't trying to do that on purpose. Like the only reason why I was identifying her as the elderly wife is because she didn't give me her name. Like she didn't give me her name, and that was like the only way. Like she had white hair, so like that was the only way I could like. That was the first thing I thought of, And yeah, so I just felt terrible after that. And when they left, I just felt bad, man. So just wanted to share that story with you. And I'm gonna go think it through and probably watch some How I Met Your Mother. So thank you for listening, and peace.